When you hear the name Warren Buffett, what comes to mind? Billions, right? Legendary investor, the Oracle of Omaha. But how did all of that actually start? Let's get into it, because the story of his very first $1,000, well, it's not what you think.
So let me just ask you this. What if this financial titan, this icon of wealth, had already hit a major money milestone before he was even old enough to get a driver's license? You see, this isn't just a story about cash. It's about a mindset that was built, brick by brick, when he was just a kid.
And here's the part you really gotta get. His journey didn't start with some family fortune or a lucky lottery ticket. Nope. It started with pure, old-fashioned hustle and an absolute obsession with figuring out how money really works. And honestly, that's what makes his whole story so incredible.
All right, so let's rewind the clock. Way back to his very first business venture. It's almost funny how simple it was, but I promise you, the seed of his entire philosophy is right here. Picture this. We're in Omaha during the Great Depression. Times are tough, and while pretty much every other 6-year-old is thinking about toys or playing outside, little Warren Buffett is looking at the shelves in his grandpa's grocery store and seeing something totally different. He saw an opportunity. He spots 6 packs of Coca-Cola selling for just a quarter, 25 cents. That was it. That was his initial investment. Then the light bulb goes off. He realized he could take that pack, break it up, and go door to door selling each bottle for a nickel. And you can do the math, right? 6 bottles at 5 cents a pop is 30 cents. So after his 25-cent cost, he was making a clean 5-cent profit on every single pack he sold. It was simple arbitrage, and he was just 6 years old. And this right here, this shows you the fundamental difference in how he thought. See, most kids get an allowance, and their first thought is, awesome, what can I buy? Warren got money, and his first thought was, how can I turn this into more money? It was never about spending. It was always about multiplying. Now, this mindset didn't stop with soda, not by a long shot. His next venture wasn't just another job. It was about taking a simple gig and turning it into a lean, mean, optimized machine. By age 13, he didn't just have a paper route. He ran it like a CEO. Seriously. He literally mapped out every customer. He timed and optimized his routes to be as fast as humanly possible. And most importantly, he didn't go blow his earnings. Nope. Every dollar was reinvested. He was already compounding his capital. And you're not going to believe this detail. On his first ever tax return, as a teenager, he claimed his bicycle as a $35 business expense. I mean, who even thinks to do that? It just shows you he was already learning that the financial world has rules, and if you understand them, you can make them work for you. Okay, so he's gone from selling Coke to delivering papers, and now he levels up again. This is where he starts to understand scale, partnerships, and the pure magic of passive income. This is where he goes from working to building a machine that works for him. And the whole thing kicked off with just $25. That's it. He and a friend pooled their cash to buy their very first asset. And their business model was just genius. They didn't buy some new, shiny machine. They found a broken one, fixed it up themselves, and then put it in a place with tons of foot traffic. They made a deal with the barber. You provide the space, we own the machine, and we'll split the profits. And did it work? Oh, you bet it worked. Within just a few months, that one machine turned into 3 machines, all placed in different barbershops across town, all just cranking out cash day after day. You see what's happening here, right? This was a massive mental shift. He was officially moving away from trading his time for money and moving toward a world where his assets, the pinball machines, were doing all the heavy lifting for him. So all these small hustles, all this hard work, it was all building toward one thing, a serious pile of capital that he could finally use to make a really big move. And that brings us to the climax of his early journey. By the time he was just 14 years old, Warren Buffett had saved over $1,200. Just let that sink in for a minute. A 14-year-old kid in the 1940s with that kind of cash. To give you some perspective, that's like having around $15,000 today. An absolutely incredible amount of money for someone who hadn't even finished high school yet. And what did he do with it? Did he buy a car? Of course not. He took all of his savings and turned it into a productive asset. He bought 40 acres of farmland, which put money back in his pocket because he rented it out to a local farmer. Just another stream of passive income. This was it. This was the secret sauce he had figured out at such a young age. He truly understood that your money can be your best employee, an employee that works 24/7, never complains, and just keeps making more money for you. So, when you take this whole incredible story and you boil it all down, what are you left with? Well, you're left with a simple but ridiculously powerful blueprint that pretty much anyone can follow. And the blueprint is this simple. First, you start small. Find that 5-cent profit somewhere, anywhere. Then you think bigger. You figure out how to turn that one pinball machine into 3. And then, the most crucial part, you stay consistent. You keep reinvesting your profits into productive assets. That's it. That's the foundation his entire fortune is built on. From a 6-pack of soda to a multi-billion-dollar empire, the core principles have stayed exactly the same. So, seeing this whole journey laid out, the only real question left is, what's your first move going to be?